Hi, I'm the Multifarious fisherman. This is 7Fish. We are in the cabin office today. The other day when I did my trout video, it was in the 20s and 20 plus mile an hour winds. That was a little bit north of here, but still pretty close. Yesterday's weather was in the 50s and gorgeous, and today it is snowing. So traditional upper Great Plains weather. If you don't like it, wait 10 minutes. It's probably going to change. Continuing on a theme where we were doing a little muskie content because we'd been asked to do a little muskie content, although my last muskie video didn't get very many views. We're going to soldier on. What we're trying to do here is give you tips to make you dangerous. So today we're just going to talk about a little tip for muskie fishing. A lot of the baits, especially originally, fewer of them now, but a lot of them were made out of wood. And some of them ran really good and some of them didn't run as good. And sometimes you could make them run a little better and especially a little deeper if you wanted to. Talked in the last Tip Tuesday about how I shave lips on a bait to make it run shallower because I like to have the same bait but that will run shallow or deep. Similarly, a lot of baits used to be made out of wood. There's still a handful, but a lot of them aren't anymore. The wooden baits we would modify, and what we would modify them to do basically was to make a bait that was pretty buoyant, fish deeper. The way that we made them fish deeper was we would add some weight. I've got here a standard 10-inch Suick. This is great to fish over the weeds. I mentioned, I think previously, that you can bend a tail up or down to drive it down a little, get her a little deeper. This version has been modified. Obviously, it's custom paint, but it's also been drilled out with some weight added to it. I put a lot of weight in this bait. I've got 2 sunk in the top. I've also got 4 additional sunk in on the bottom, and what you can't see is prior to painting I actually added 3 in this area too, so there's a lot of weight added to this. These are egg sinkers. I drill a hole just the size of the egg sinker, push them down in with a pair of pliers, and epoxy over them. The reason that I weighted this bait in the first place is because it didn't run very well. You can add weight to a bait and change how it runs. If you've got a bait that runs really well, you may not necessarily want to pick that one to put weight in because it can change that, and if you're happy with how it runs, I would always leave that one alone. What I tend to do is take the ones that maybe don't run exactly how I want them to. I'll drill them and weight them before then I tune them to try to make them run the way that I want. This bait was unique. It didn't run very well, and when I drilled it and added weight to it, it ran worse. So I had a very difficult time tuning this bait. Serendipity, a fortuitous accident, and I had gotten it to run okay, but wasn't super happy with how it ran. I was throwing the bait in Canada, tweaking it, tuning it, and I clipped a rock. Is that even going to focus that close? Yeah, it did. That lip rolled over, and all of a sudden it did what I wanted it to do. So I haven't touched it since. It's been, I could straighten that, but to be honest with you, the thing runs great now. So if something happens, even if it's not on purpose, man, go with it. That's how I modify that Suick to make it fish deeper. This is a Wade's Wobbler. This is a bait that I fish a lot back in the day. They came in 2 different versions. The standard version, pretty typical looking. The weighted version, he put a piece of heat shrink tubing on the hook. That's how you could tell that it was weighted. Now, you can also tell once you fished them a little bit, and that paint will knock off, and you can see there's 2 weights in the belly of that one, and this one only has the one at the front. The one at the front makes it sit right in the water and dive, do the cool stuff that it does. The second weight is put in at a very midpoint and doesn't affect the way that bait runs. If you put it toward the back, it makes it run one way. If you put the weight toward the front, it makes it run another. And if you put it dead center, it tends not to change, it just makes it a little deeper. Some examples of some other wooden baits that can be modified. This is a bobby. This is unmodified. That's the weight that's put in them to make them run the way, nose down, and make them run the way they want them to run. And this is the bonus tip, the sneaky way to do this. If you've got a bait that runs really good and you don't want to add weight to it, you are worried about messing it up. One of the ways that you can add weight to the bait kind of uniformly all over without changing the way that it runs is to soak that bait. These wooden baits do absorb water. We've been known to fill a live well and throw a couple of baits in it, and by soaking those baits you can add weight to the bait or remove buoyancy from the bait just by letting them absorb a little water. I actually had a friend of mine who is a guide share that with me. First time I fished muskies, I was running a black reef hog and I was having a lot of success with it. But whenever I took it off, we would drop it in a full live well and let that thing float in there and draw water. And by the end of the day, the thing darn near sunk. I don't tend to like to weight crankbaits, especially, again, anything that runs good I don't want to mess with. This is a Dana crank, and I don't want to put a drill in this. I don't want to put weight in this because these are hard to find. They're smaller, so a little bit of weight goes a long way. I don't like to jack with the way that these run. But I will absolutely soak these because it does not hurt the way that they run. In fact, I really like how this bait runs after it's been in the water a while. There you go, just a little tip to make you dangerous. We want to make stuff you want to see, and if you ask for it, we will make it. Like I said, I had somebody ask for more muskie related content. This is that. Thanks for joining us this week. I hope you join us next week for another video.